What do you think about the way the mainstream media is representing Israel and the Turkish crisis?
Well, I mean, completely dishonestly. You know, what's the interesting question is to what degree they know how dishonest they are themselves. That's always been a conundrum to me. I don't know really the answer to that. I'm sure it varies for different people, but you know, they all live in their own bubble, and they don't have the courage even to examine the truth, because they'll lose their jobs, they'll lose position, they'll lose friends. So it's a very complicated situation. I don't know how much they know that they're lying.
But doesn't Israel need to do more to help explain the legitimacy, the founding of the state?
Oh, absolutely. Not just the founding of the state. In general, of course that. But in general, what Israel has to do is learn to play the public relations game proactively. I mean, they have the truth on their side, so they thought, oh, well, we got the truth on our side. That's not the way the world is now. Unfortunately, it should be that way, but it's not that way. So what the Israeli government has to learn, I think they know this to a degree. Like the appointment of Michael Oren, who is a very articulate guy, as U.S. ambassador, is an example of their knowing that, but they have to take it further. Like the recent thing with the flotilla, they should have been proactive. They should have known the level of BS that was going to come. And they should have, I mean, they might have gone as far as streaming live what they were doing, because they were so late to the party they got killed in the media. I mean, by liars, of course, but I mean, nevertheless, I mean, they know these people are liars already, so they got to be ready.
Where does PJTV fit in, you think, in the modern media landscape?
I don't really answer that question. I really don't. We just do what we do. I mean, that's a very big question. We're still small. I mean, compared to networks and so forth, so we're growing. I mean, we're just trying to do what we do. I don't know where it fits. I mean, that's for other people to say.
What do you hope to do? Do you go out with an editorial tone? Do you try to be? Do you come with an objectivity or with a
bias? Well, everybody's biased. The bias is as American or human as apple pie. Human beings are biased. They're human. I'm biased, and my biases have changed over years, and I predict they will change again. I don't know how much, but at some point they'll change about something or other. I'm a human being and I'm reacting to the world. One of the great illusions about media is that they pretend to be unbiased, which is such a big lie you could almost fall off your chair laughing. But I'm biased too.
How about Hollywood? Do you feel that Hollywood's bias may be hurting Western civilization?
Well, that's a big term, but yes, it does. But on the other hand, Hollywood is a big thing, so there are many, many different people in it. And one of the mistakes that's made by people on the right is they think Hollywood is monolithically on the left. Not true. I mean, who's bigger in Hollywood than Clint Eastwood? I mean, you know, if Clint Eastwood wants to make a movie and he calls up Sean Penn and says, "Would you like to be in it?" Sean Penn says, "When would you like me to be there, sir?" I mean, so it's not all one way. Is it somewhat one way? Yeah, sure it is. The other thing, the other big mistake that conservatives make about Hollywood is whining about it so much. They are playing the victocrats vis-a-vis Hollywood. You want to change Hollywood? Get the camera yourself and start going.
What do you think of the allegation that because there are Jews working in positions in Hollywood, that there's some coordinated anti-American Jewish cabal or Jewish control?
That's not even worth responding to. It's just absolute nonsense. I mean, that's silly. And the Jews are not as much in control of Hollywood as they used to be. Hollywood's a multinational corporation business. It's not the 1930s and 40s anymore.
But it's a common allegation on the part of anti-Zionists or even anti-Semites that Jewish influence in Hollywood is somehow coordinated.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's not a reality, and Jewish influence in Hollywood isn't as great as it was to begin with. So the whole thing is double wrong. I mean, there is no coordination. And there never. When I was more an insider with those people, when I was more liberal, I never saw any coordination. People are in total competition with each other. They're not coordinating. They're all trying to make money and succeed. There's no coordination at all.
Do you think there's a taboo against conservative filmmaking in Hollywood?
Not entirely. There's some. Again, I would advise conservatives not to fixate on that. That's a big mistake. The way to change things is to get the camera, write a script. Most important part. Camera is irrelevant if you don't have a good script, and make the movie. Stop complaining. Tell the story. Yeah, there's discrimination in some quarters. Get over it. Move on. Do it yourself.
Do you think new media will play a part in putting cameras in the hands of new filmmakers?
Sure, we're doing it all the time. Absolutely. I mean, and not only that, you can do it yourself. The cameras are cheap now. The camera that you're shooting me on right now could make a feature film that was great if you really had a good script. I mean, it's only the script and the actors. I mean, the cameras are nothing now.
But how about distribution? Will audiences go see a conservative film?
Sure, they just went to see Blindside in droves. Come on. I mean, what audiences want is to be entertained with a good movie. Start with that. That's harder. We all have political views. Writing and directing a movie is hard.
Do you believe Avatar came in with a left-wing agenda into the script?
Yes, but inadvertently. I think that James Cameron is kind of a dope in terms of that kind of stuff. I mean, he's not really. He's totally unsophisticated, and he's just a film person. So he doesn't have, his political views are about this deep. But he worked on that for 10 years. It's all about the effects and stuff like that. If it said exactly the opposite, the audience would love it too. It's just highfalutin Hollywood nonsense. And I don't think it changes people's opinions, really, even though I think it's a loathsome movie.
Do you think it was partially a propaganda piece to promote his ideology?
No, I think it was a propaganda piece to promote himself. I think that James Cameron only cares about himself. This is the guy who said, "I'm king of the world," when he won his Oscar. Remember that? I mean, come on. He is a Cameronist. He's not a communist. He's a Cameronist.
So, is there an opportunity for a more conservative film to go as big?
Of course. I mean, I really think. But I mean, the real thing is getting it's work. You got to be good at it. Let's work on that. Stop worrying about the prejudice. It's there, but you can overcome it.
Finally, are you concerned about President Obama's bias? Do you think he's going in with a pro-Palestinian bias in helping shape Mideast policy?
Absolutely. I think he is. I think he was heavily influenced by Rashid Khalidi. I think the tape that is now in the hands of the Los Angeles Times should be revealed, and I think it would be pretty frightening, the results of it. No, is he biased? Sure, and his Jewish lieutenants should be ashamed of themselves.
Do you think his personal bias is endangering American stability in foreign policy?
Yes.
Global stability?
Yeah, probably. I think right now we're about to have Iran get the bomb, and he hasn't done a thing about it, nor does he intend to.
Do you think that's been his intention all along?
No, I think he doesn't think through that much. I think he's just worried about his own job, like most people when they get into a position like that. I don't think he thought that much about foreign policy before he got into office. I thought he was more about, being a community organizer, and I think this is sort of way over his head, and now he's just making it up as he goes along.
With the documented visits of Louis Farrakhan and Jeremiah Wright, and a lot of his people who he formerly threw under the bus, Jesse Jackson, are making lots of trips now to the White House. Mm-hmm. Should that be a cause of concern for Americans?
Well, sure. I'm not sure exactly which ones are making the trips. There have been a lot of allegations. We've been looking at it. We've been looking at those lists. The lists, by the way, one of the interesting things about the White House visitors list is they lump together tourists who go on the regular tours. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen these lists. We've seen them because we petitioned for them. What's really interesting, and I don't know, it's true in other administrations, I think, too. The visitors lists are deliberately obscured because every Tom, Dick, and Harry who goes on a White House tour is in there with someone who's making a visit to Obama or someone else. So it's very hard to, this lists are long, and a lot of people have names that repeat each other, So it's very hard to know.
Do you feel he has an allegiance to his former cronies, which might be counter to Mideast stability, keeping Israel safe?
You're talking about heirs and those people? Well, sure. Anyway, I've had it. That's it. Yes. The answer is yes. I don't know if it's a real allegiance, because I think he'd throw anybody on the bus, because his allegiance is to himself. But those are the people that formed him.
But do you think he has an agenda now to try and please his friend Rashid Khalidi and those of that ilk?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think he's about himself. I mean, and I think so that, those are the people that formed him, and that's the way he thinks. But he seems to be able to throw almost anybody under the bus. So, Rashid Khalidi, who's that?
You think things might change if he gets reelected for a second term?
I have no idea what would happen, and I hope I don't see it. Thank you.